This video was intended to inform and educate the public.
Welcome back to the Junkyard News. In today's video news story, we're going to talk about an incident that happened in Anchorage, Alaska, where now a family of a man that was just fatally shot by Anchorage police has demanded release of officers' body-worn camera footage as well as any dash cam footage that caught different angles of the incident. That's right. The family of a man fatally shot by Anchorage police last week is calling on the city to release any and all camera footage, either body-worn or dash cam, that captured the incident. Release it to the public, they said. Now, the Anchorage police chief, shortly after the incident, held a news conference and claimed that 34-year-old Kristopher Handy had pointed a long gun at officers, which forced them to open fire. But unbeknownst to the police chief, a neighbor of Handy's had a security camera that was pointed in the exact location of the incident. And this neighbor has claimed, and upon reviewing the video, in my opinion, does show that the officers executed the man simply for holding a firearm at his side. In other words, they executed him just for being armed for his protection. Now, Kristopher Handy's brother, Travis Handy, said his family is demanding that police chief or the mayor's office release the police footage, either body cam and or dash cam, of the shooting to the public immediately. Travis Handy has claimed they don't believe that the video tells the entire story, he says. But you know, they have 6 other videos, body cameras, and 2 dash cameras with different angles of what transpired that night, and the public needs to see what happened. Now, once the neighbor released the video footage to the world, which seems to contradict the police narrative, the police chief came out with another statement, saying that the security footage appears to many to differ from the initial statement that we provided regarding the event.
But we keep trying, can't stop, won't stop lying.
But the chief of police also cautioned that the video does not capture many details, including what happened outside the camera's view, and not to mention the human element of those involved.
We both know, if you look nationally, it doesn't matter what city, it doesn't matter what region, it doesn't matter where you are. Life ends.
Well, and we're trained to think that.
Now, the Handy family said that the police chief called them Monday afternoon and expressed her condolences over the death of Kristopher Handy. She also reiterated that the police body camera footage would only be released once an internal and state investigation on the shooting is completed. Now, the Anchorage Police Department spokeswoman claims Cross was following the department's standard process for notifying the community of an officer-involved shooting when she held a press conference last Monday, and she did so before reviewing the body cam footage. The spokeswoman also says, "We will review that process for future developments and future incidents." So the outrage here is that the security footage does call into question Anchorage Police Department's account of what happened in this shooting. So here's what we know at the moment. At about 2:15 a.m., Handy's neighbor, Virginia Miller, said her dog woke her up. She said she looked out her apartment window and saw her neighbor, 34-year-old Kristopher Handy, yelling at a woman. And she claims that while this yelling was occurring, Mr. Handy did have his long gun with him. He didn't point it at anybody, he just had it. Now, the neighbor claims that at that point, she believes the cops had been called for a domestic disturbance. And she claims this is not an abnormal occurrence for this couple. There's never anything physical, but they often do a lot of yelling back and forth. The neighbor claims she saw Mr. Handy go inside his home for about 10 minutes before police arrived. She said he then walked out with his long gun at his side and walked to the officers because they were commanding him to come down the stairs. She says they're calling him. They're giving him orders to put his hands up, she said. And then all of a sudden they shoot him almost mid-order. It was like 0.1 seconds after giving him an order to put his hands up that they shot him. Handy did not survive his injuries. Now the neighbor is going public with her account of the incident and releasing her security footage because she says she does not agree with what police said actually happened. Police have said Handy pointed a gun at their officers before they opened fire. Miller claims he did not. And she wants the police to release their body camera footage, so does the Handy family. This is the first time that the Anchorage Police Department officers have had body cameras on when they fatally shot someone. The neighbor claims, "I see one thing on my camera," and then they're saying that he pointed a gun, and I've slowed down the footage. I've gone frame by frame, and I can't see any moment at all, any moment in which he decided he was going to point his gun at the time they shot him, or the whole time of him walking down the stairs. He just had it by his side. Now, in the initial press conference, the chief of police claims that as they advanced towards the apartment complex on foot, the adult male raised the long gun towards officers, Cross said. And when he did so, 4 officers discharged their weapons, striking the adult male once in the upper body. Now, the police chief did come out later saying that her comments at the press conference were based on testimony of witnesses. Who were these witnesses? The cops, right? The cops that just fatally shot somebody. But she did claim that the footage from the neighbor appears to many people to differ from the initial statement that we provided regarding the event. And this is an ongoing investigation, and our involved officers deserve due process before jumping to any conclusions. So you may claim, why haven't they released to the public the actual body cam footage yet? Well, the department claims the decision has been made to treat the body-worn camera footage like the release of any evidence in an ongoing investigation. Our priority is to ensure the investigation is factual and fair to everyone involved. Really? Then why did you put out a statement with false claims? Why did you spew a false narrative before reviewing the evidence, without reviewing the actual body cam footage? Well, there's a simple answer to that. There are several reasons why police might provide a false narrative about an officer-involved shooting before thoroughly reviewing the evidence. The main one, of course, is protecting officers and the department. It's like an initial defense mechanism. When an officer is involved in a shooting, there's going to be an immediate instinct to protect the officers involved and the department from potential backlash. This can lead to premature statements that frame the incident in a way that justifies the officer's actions before you actually investigate and watch the footage. There's also what's known as the public relations strategy. Police departments may release a narrative that portrays the officers in a positive light to manage public perception and maintain trust in the department. This is often done before all facts are known, which can lead to inaccuracies in the initial reports. Now, we do know police departments often need to respond quickly to incidents to inform the public and maintain control over the narrative. And in a rush to release information, they might rely in the beginning on reports that haven't been fully vetted yet. Also, these initial reports made public might be based on an officer's account and immediate observations, which can be incomplete and biased. These reports might not yet include all available evidence, such as video footage or witness statements. But in the initial statement, even though the police chief said that her initial statements were based on witnesses' accounts, she didn't tell us who those witnesses were. I happen to believe, my opinion is, the only witnesses that were interviewed initially before she came out with her initial statement were the officers that pulled the trigger and killed this man. Now that's what you call potentially bias. Because we all know that officers and their departments might be influenced by cognitive biases, leading them to interpret events in a way that favors the officer's actions. This can result in the dissemination of a narrative that aligns with these biased perceptions. And it also boils down to legal and liability concerns. Minimizing legal exposure, in other words. And by framing the narrative early, departments might aim to protect themselves and the officers from legal consequences. Early statements that justify the shooting can be part of a strategy to mitigate potential lawsuits or even criminal charges against the officers who pulled the trigger. So in summary, the combination of the need to manage public perception and protect officers and deal with incomplete information, the narrative and procedural challenges can lead to the release of false or misleading narratives about officer-involved shootings before all evidence is actually reviewed. All right, so now I'm going to show you the video clip from the neighbor. This is from her security camera, and you can actually hear her in the background after the officers open fire. Now, I agree that walking towards police, even though they're commanding you to, armed with a rifle literally in your hand, may not be the smartest thing to do. But remember, we have a Second Amendment right. And after reviewing this footage, I didn't hear him say drop the gun. I didn't hear him give any commands other than put your hands up. There is one point in the audio, I could swear I hear the word gun. It was gun, boom, 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 boom. Here's the footage of the incident that the neighbor released to the public because it contradicted the initial statement by the chief in what happened to Mr. Handy. After reviewing it, comment what you think about this incident below.
Oh my God! Chris.
Be careful, people. You know those cops, they're always out there looking for that next paid vacation. And if you're not careful, we could be talking about an incident involving you in the next video. Thanks for watching.